Hello everyone, this is Angela here, and today is Easter Sunday and just winding down from all of the excitement and wonderful food and festivities of the day. I felt like coming on YouTube, because I thought of something really interesting to talk about as I move forward into a wonderful future recovering from narcissistic abuse. And I really love to share my stories and talk about things to reach out to other fellow narcissistic abuse survivors. And this is going to be about relationships, okay? I'm talking about intimate relationships between a man and a woman. And this story is going to be about marriage, okay? First of all, a lot of people marry narcissists, and that's unfortunate that they do that because they don't realize that the person that they're marrying is a narcissist. And there are some clues that a lot of people overlook, and the reason why they overlook is because people get married because they think that they love this person that they're married and they want to spend the rest of their life with that person. And what I want to say is the biggest mistake that people can make when getting married is to get married because you think that you're in love. But are you really in love with the person that you're marrying, or are you just marrying out of feelings, okay? There was that story about Stephen Watkins, the guy that was murdered by a psychopathic narcissist. And I talked about that story on my channel. If anybody's interested in seeing his story, I suggest that you look up on YouTube A Mystery on Horseshoe Drive. And that'll tell you all about the Stephen Watkins story. And the biggest mistake that Stephen Watkins made was he was totally dumbstruck by this beautiful woman, and he just fell really hard. He only knew her for about 3 months, and he married her. And unfortunately, it all went downhill from there. So that story is a warning for people to not rush into a marriage, because marriage is a very serious commitment. It's contractual. It's very hard to get out of. It causes a lot of problems getting a divorce when you're divorcing a narcissist. So you guys get the point, okay? But tonight I want to talk a little bit about a guy that I knew from my past, okay? A guy that I had briefly dated that told me a story that suggested that he dodged a bullet and almost married a narcissist. But this story is called the engagement ring story. And this story is a telltale sign that this guy was almost going to marry a narcissist. The story goes like this. I dated a guy a few years back, and I'm pretty much a people person. This guy was a nice guy. He wasn't somebody that I was serious in having a long-term relationship with, but he was a guy that I enjoyed spending time with. And he owned an ice cream shop. And he was a very nice fellow. We went out, and he told me a story about how he loved this girl, and they had gotten engaged, but they broke up. So I asked him, I said, well, why did you break off your engagement, if you don't mind me asking? And he was telling me about how much the girl's father really loved him, and they were like best buds, and she came from this great family, and he just could not go through with this marriage. And the story goes like this. When they were going to get engaged, she wanted a $64,000 engagement ring. I kid you not. a $64,000 engagement ring. And she had told him that she would not marry him unless he would buy this ring for her. And this man stood his ground and said, I'm not buying that ring for you. And she, acted very childish and carried on. And, well, I'm not marrying you unless I get the ring that I want, and blah, 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 and this, and that, and the other. And, So I said to him, well, since you had such a great relationship with her father, did you talk to her father and try to explain, listen, I can't afford this. This is just way beyond my budget. And he said that he did. And so then I said, well, what did her father say? And the guy said her father was totally on her side. So this girl sounded like she was somebody that was used to getting what she wanted, and that she was this pampered golden girl, or whatever you want to call it. And, he was just like, he had enough and walked away. Rightfully so. And basically what I want to say here is to all you fellas out here, if you're thinking about marrying a woman, and this woman cannot humble herself to accept what you have to offer her, to what you can afford to buy with regard to an engagement ring, I would not marry this woman, because this woman is going to lead you down a bad path, and it's not going to have a good outcome. So the lesson learned here is be careful out here. Ladies, okay, I want to say this honestly. An engagement ring is not a gift. It is a promise of a marriage that is about to take place. It doesn't matter the reason why the engagement is being broken off. You must give that ring back. That is his ring, okay? It is rightfully his, and it must be returned to him. Some engagement rings are family heirlooms. I've heard of stories of men suing ex-fiancés for their engagement rings back. The engagement ring that my ex, the guy I talked about, the guy that said was too far gone in a few previous videos, he didn't ask for the ring back. That ring was $8,000, and I felt that he should have his ring returned to him, because that was his ring, okay? Even if the situation was where the guy cheated on you and you really felt jaded, you must give the ring back. The only time that I could say that it's possibly acceptable for you to take the ring is if there was debt acquired during the courtship engagement ship. Like in my case with one of my exes, where I had loaned him $3,000, and he only, I had to threaten him to get back $2,000 just to cut the loss to get rid of him, and I lost $1,000. Now, in that situation, you may have grounds to keep that ring, to hold that ring in exchange for him to pay back debt he owes to you, in all fairness. But if that's not the case, then you should give it back. Another thing, guys, if you really are thinking about getting engaged to a woman, you have to be careful about the law, because the law may see certain situations where the ring is given as a gift. I would never propose marriage on Valentine's Day, her birthday, or Christmas. So before you get engaged and buy an expensive ring, you may want to talk to an attorney just to protect your asset in case it goes sour, and that you can get your ring back, because not everybody does the right thing, okay? Not everybody's going to be on board with what I'm saying here, but I believe that it is the right thing to do. Give that man his ring back, okay? Sorry about that. It serves no good to, what are you going to do with an engagement ring? It's just, I personally, I didn't want the ring. Okay, I didn't want it, and so I gave it back to him. And then that's about it. Okay, so I'm going to say goodnight and take care, everybody. Have a great night.